So we go to our final heats for DD2 and DD2 Masters. Let's run you through the grid. It's exactly the same as heats 1 and 2. Dylan LaHaye and Noah Hitt on the front row. Nikita Genza and Paul Forquemin, row 2. Row 3, it's Mats Overhoff, and look at the rain coming down. Overhoff will be joined by Victor Sendat on row 3. Kilian Gerhardt and Bastian Krapov, who again is starting from DD2 Masters pole position. We have got a kart in the repair area, and that is Sung Hung Moon from Korea, who now will let the mechanic go to work. So after that, Brian Ancher and then Louis Koch rounding out the top 10. Benjamin Unterberger, Bennett Demler, Dimo Noto Francesco, Luca Neuenhausen, Moritz Knopfiers, Niels Böhler, Lukas Lippert, Marek Mack, Maximilian Adolf, and Sem Knopfiers round out the top, the 20 drivers that are out on circuit and are now going on to their official formation lap with Sung Hung Moon from Korea in the repair order, the repair grid. Right, let's see what happens on this particular occasion, because Dylan LaHaye picked up the provisional victory in Heat 2. Let's see what he can do. Well, he's got the home field advantage, folks. This is his home track. As I said earlier, he knows it like the hairs on the back of his hand. So 2 different winners so far today. Nikita Genza in Heat 1, Dylan LaHaye Heat 2. Noah Hitt was compromised due to an issue after a red flag. So, mental games initiated for the final time today. They will intensify for the super heat tomorrow. The field starts to bunch up for one final time here at the home of champions Karting Genk. 10 minutes on the timer, red lights on the gantry, revs rise, lights are on, lights are out, and we are underway and racing. Good start by Dylan LaHaye, who had a clear track in front of him, and there has been a moment. We have got multiple karts involved. One has just gone through the muddy water splash off of turn number 1, and that is the 408 who went straight on, Louis Koch. And that Kart Republic chassis is going to need a big old helping of jet wash, but has just literally shortcutted the circuit whilst rejoining. So that is not exactly how you should start your final heat. Well, granted, Louis Koch had to go and avoid what was happening in front, and it just really caused all chaos heading into turn 2, and Koch went, oh, well, I need to rejoin the circuit, and has shortcutted and has not gone through 3, 4, and 5 to get to 6. Sung Hung Moon has now rejoined, having gone into the repair area, so the Korean driver in the 515 hopefully might be able to close a little bit of the gap as the spray once again rears its ugly head in these conditions. And it is it's really coming down now. And there we see an overtake. That was the 407 of Nikita Genza, passed by the 401 of Victor Sendat. So the French driver managing to get past the German. Nikita Genza trying to do the old switcheroo trying to go very, very wide. And look at the run. He just got there, and he's late on the brakes, and he's got it through. Great anticipation from Nikita Ganzer, the 407 from Germany, to put a number on the 401. Mats Overhoff is not too far behind either, and could start to close on up. Luca Neuenhausen having a bit more luck in this race. He's not that far behind the 455. So this could be very much the case of who is going to really use the best part. who can, well, not the best part, who can adapt to these ever deteriorating weather conditions. Paul Fauquemin unfortunately hasn't. I think he was caught up in the crossfire in that lap 1, turn 2 incident. So unfortunately the 403 from France is not having a good time at the minute, but there is an opportunity for him to claw that back. He's back up to 12th now. So got ahead of Benjamin Unterberger from Austria. And again, just differing racing lines being used. Some able to profit from it, others unable to do so. At this point, it's not a case of that's all she wrote. It's a case of try and deal instinctively with what the kart is doing underneath you. And that is proof in the pudding when the 402 decides to look up the inside of the 413. And that is Brian Anger with Benjamin Unterberger just behind. So they've just come out of turns 7 and 8. And now through 9. Heading down the short run into turn 10. So, well, I think a lot of that mud might have come off of the 408 of Louis Koch. Now that the rain is actually pelting the Kart Republic chassis from up above. So Louis Koch is effectively, I think, going to incur the, well, race control will have looked at that and said, well, hang on a second, he shortcutted the circuit. That then comes with a post-race penalty. So Noah Hipp will hopefully try and get past the 408 very shortly. So coming up to, well, just over 5.5 minutes, well, 5.5 minutes still to go, plus an additional lap. It's going to be nip and tuck as to what is going to happen behind the likes of Dylan LaHaye, Noah Hipp, Victor Sandin and Nikita Genzer are battling over what will be third position on the road. So LaHaye goes on to lap 5. Yeah, so Louis Koch's kart is no longer as muddy as it was, but I'm sure that he's trying to apply the power through turn number 3, and the back end stepped out to the right-hand side, and you can see the spray is just absolutely immense from the back of these DD2 karts. Of course, front and rear braking systems on each of them, 2-speed gearbox. And I think everyone is going to be very, very happy when they get out of these wetsuits, race suits, drain all the water out of the boots that are on their feet. And finally, Noah Hipp manages to get through on Louis Koch. So the French driver now up into P2 on the road. And actually P2 from, more than likely, an official standpoint. But Dylan LaHaye doing a very, very good job, and he's got a 4.4 second advantage over Noah Hipp, who has about 3 3/4 minutes to try and chase the Belgian in the 428 down. And this is effectively advantage LaHaye. He takes this second win. This provisionally puts him on pole for the superheat tomorrow morning. And who'd have thought of that in your DD2 debut? And what's more, it's even better that it's at your home track, your local track at Karting Genk. If it was a different circuit, it may be a completely different story that I would be talking about at this time. But you can't deny the fact that when you put Dylan LaHaye in these kind of weather conditions, on a track he knows, and then you have to couple it to the fact that he's not on the chassis that we've seen him racing on for so many years. So coming up to just over 2 3/4 minutes to go. And Sung Hung Moon has retired and has parked the kart. That's a real shame for the Korean in the 5:15. So that will put us down to 20 runners and riders. As per the timing screens, it says thus, LaHaye leads by just under 5.1 seconds from Noah Hip. Louis Koch is currently P3 ahead of Victor Sendan with Nikita Genza, Kilian Guerrin, Mats Overhoff, Paul Forquemin now back up to 8th. Bastian Krapov in the number 510, still leading the way in DD2 Masters and looks to do the clean sweep there. So that will be 2 drivers this weekend that we will have had taking 3 successive heat victories. Luca Neuenhausen rounds out the top 10 with Brian Ancher. Then we've got Bennett Demler, Benjamin Unterberger, Niels Böhler, Moritz Knopfiers, Lukas Lippert, Marek Mak, Sam Knopfiers, Maximilian Adolf, and Dimon Noto Francesco from Switzerland. At the moment, rounding out the 20 out of 21 drivers, with Sung Hung Moon unfortunately retiring on lap 5. 5 seconds is the gap between P1 and P2. As Louis Koch has got Victor Sendan and Nikita Genza trying to get through. Well, he's going to let Genza through rather easily. Didn't want to let Sendan get through, and Genza's straight on the offensive against the 410 through turn 5. Now out of 6, down the Europalan. Will Genza do his trademark dive bomb? He hasn't. He wasn't close enough to the rear bumper of the 410. Timer is counting down 45 seconds until we hit 0. And then that'll be all she wrote. After this, we will have 4 more races to conclude today's action here at the Home of Champions. Genza trying to put the power down, coming out of turn 10. Didn't quite work out for the 407. But LaHaye goes on to lap 9 out of 10. Penultimate lap of the final heat here on Saturday is underway. And LaHaye looking very, very strong indeed. He hasn't placed outside of the top 3 all day long. And it looks to be advantage to a local driver. Nikita Genza, however, has not given up on 3rd place. He went a little bit deep into turn 6 to rotate the kart around and then try and get the slingshot with the traction. But look at the amount of spray that are coming up from the Mojo W5 tyres on the back axle. So not only are you having to deal with rain directly hitting the visor on your race helmet, you're battling against the elements, you're battling against your opponent. Timer has expired. So Dylan LaHaye will get to see the sign now, final lap. And it's probably going to give him the biggest sigh of relief that he's wanted all day long. On debut, here at the Home of Champions, Dylan LaHaye has done exactly what he's needed to all day long. Not gone outside of the top 3 and has got not that long left until he crosses the start-finish line to take the checkered flag. I think he's making his way down the Europalan as we speak, heading down into turn 7. Nikita Genza will keep on fighting tooth and nail, using every bit of energy, every sinew. And there we have, Luca Neuenhausen off and out of the kart. 2nd race in a row for the 488 from the Netherlands. A real shame. He was running so well at that point. He was running in 10th. He was as high as 8th at one point. But the checkered flag this time is being prepared. Because now Dylan LaHaye does 2 race wins in a row, provisionally putting himself on pole position, and he spins it on the start-finish straight in celebration. Oh, Dylan. He just got a bit too excited with weaving, didn't he? So, yellow flags now being waved as Dylan is trying to fire up the kart. And he gets back out on track. I think he might need to check his underwear after that one. But Dylan LaHaye, 2 wins out of 3. Well done, my friend. New chassis, new team, new opportunity, and at home and on home soil, he wins by nearly 5 seconds. Noah Hip takes P2 ahead of Victor Sendal with Nikita Genza running at the top 4. Louis Koch, despite the short cutting, I think out of from turns 2 to 6, places 5th on the road. That may not stand post-race. Kilian Gerhard, Paul Forquemin, Mats Overhoff, and Bastian Karpov round out the top 9. And the 510 from Germany picks up another win in DD2 Masters. Brian O'Shea with Bennett Demler, Benjamin Unterberger round out the top 12. And Moritz Knopfius and Niels Böhler round out the top 14. They complete the top 3 in Masters. Lukas Lippert about 1.4 seconds away from hitting the top 3. He finished 15th ahead of Zem Knopfius. Marek Mak with Dimonoto Francesco, Maximilian Adolf, and unfortunately Luca Neuenhausen out with on the last lap, and Sung Hung Moon Dramas going out of the pit lane and retires on lap 4.